everybody. Welcome to another fine episode of Corey and Matt Talk About Shit. It's episode 3. Yeah, I said shit. That's right. What you going to do about it? Today, we're talking about the latest Apple event. We're also talking about the Captain America trailer that just came out this week. That is all we're talking about. There ain't no more.
That's it.
We do have a special feature at the end given by our friend Matt, our co-host, my co-host, and your friend, Matthew.
All new feature.
This episode was recorded on October 26, 2013. I'm going out of announcer voice. I don't know what this is yet. Anyway, you're going to love it.
Punch it, Bishop.
I'm Corey. He's Matt. We'll talk to you in a minute. All right. That's some snazzy opening music you picked. I got to say, I've gotten some compliments on that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So
I did not compose it.
Well, no, but you chose wisely.
Thank you.
That's the point.
I do my very best for our listeners.
Of course. Can we do less? No. Of course we can.
We'll find a way.
Exactly. The lesser, the better. So yeah, what are we going to talk about this week?
We've got a bunch of awesome things to talk about.
We'll probably only talk about a fraction of them. However,
there's too much awesomeness to contain in an hour-long podcast.
And realistically, we don't think any of you people are going to listen longer than an hour, unless you have some drive to go on.
It would almost be foolish.
In which case, I pity you. Driving is horrible. So the big thing, and I guess the lead-off, should be the Apple event. Of course, last week we talked about what we thought would be in the Apple event.
That's right.
And now we find out how wrong we were. But not very.
We hit it pretty close. I think most people hit it pretty close.
Yeah.
The big surprise, I think, was, and the big news out of the event in general was the introduction of an entirely new iPad line.
Mm-hmm.
What they seem to have done is we thought we were getting something akin to an iPad 5, and what we got instead seems to be the next generation of iPad, but they now have branded it the the iPad Air.
Yep. So there are a lot of implications for that. I've seen some people kind of postulating how that is Apple saying this is a full-fledged computer now. This is us. And, you could tell that with a lot of the demos they did where it showed a whole lot of people doing work with the iPad.
Yes.
So that's one angle. And the other, which is I feel like the direction you're heading, like what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I don't know what Apple's intentions were in terms of changing the branding, but I think we're done. Kind of like there's no iPod anymore.
Right.
There's an iPod Nano and an iPod Shuffle and an iPod Classic.
Right.
I don't think
there's no iPod.
Yeah, I don't think there is any iPad anymore.
Right.
I think we're clearly and perpetually now bifurcated into iPad Air at the high end and iPad Mini at the low end.
Yeah. The other speculation I heard was that by making iPad Mini and iPad Air, that now left a gap for the iPad Pro, which could theoretically be that bigger iPad that may exist in some lab somewhere.
Yeah.
It could go either way there.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, it sure could. I mean, it sure could. Although, it's that basically the only differentiating factor they would have left is a screen.
Yeah.
Because the iPad Air is packed full of shit, nice, high. But you know what? Now that I think about that, that actually makes a ton of sense because previously, up to now, the iPad and iPad Mini were separated not only by price and screen size, but also the iPad Mini historically has had used a previous generation processor in it.
But now it's an A7 across the board.
Yeah, they're feature equal.
Yep.
The iPad Mini really just is a smaller iPad Air.
Yep.
So that would absolutely leave room, as you said, at the top of the pyramid for a iPad Pro type of product.
sets a precedent for something that last week we said we didn't think Apple would do, which is the larger computer would have the crappier screen.
Right.
Which is essentially what they've done now. Now, crappier in the sense that it's going to have a lower screen density. Because now they're both Retina. They have the exact same resolution. But since the iPad mini is smaller, the graphics are going to look slightly better.
Yeah, and I didn't think they would do that. However, they did it.
Right.
But which is not the first time I've been wrong, and probably not the last. But this is a bizarre circumstance that we find ourselves in, at least that I find myself in, because I find the iPad mini to be the superior iPad in every way now.
Oh, yeah.
It's as you say, the screen's going to look better because it's got the same number of pixels packed into a smaller display. It's got the same processor. It's slightly lighter. To me, it's a more agreeable size.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
they
cheaper.
raised the price.
And it's $100 cheaper.
Right. It's cheaper, but it's not as cheaper.
No, yeah, it's not. And, that's why it was wise to keep around the old iPad mini.
Right, absolutely.
So, yeah, we hadn't mentioned that yet, but Apple also kept the old iPad mini in the lineup, lowered the price on that by $50.
Or, well, is it 50 or 30?
I thought it was $3. What was it before?
I think it was $329, and they went down to $299, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, anyway, lowered the price somewhat and kept it around. But, yeah, to me, the iPad mini with Retina display is the best iPad they make now.
Yep. It's the one I plan to get around tax time when I can afford it.
Yeah, why would you not? I mean, it's gorgeous, it's thin, it's just as capable as its big brother now in every way.
Yep.
And has a better display. So
well, yeah.
You're paying that $100 now for nothing more than the larger
The
display.
bigger screen.
That's it.
Yep, that's all. And so that leaving the gap open for a Pro, literally all they'd have to do is make the screen bigger. There's nothing else they'd have to change.
Yep,
So
that's it.
I think that makes, I don't know if it makes it more likely, but it makes it a lot easier to slot in a bigger screen size if that's what they choose to do. So yeah, I was pretty surprised at that. I was surprised at, well, another thing, you mentioned them keeping around the original Mac Mini. They're still keeping the iPad 2.
That's right.
I was blown away by that. I was like, okay, they'll get rid of the iPad 2, and like the 4 will be now the lower end one. But they didn't do that. They just got rid of those. And that's baffling to me for a lot of reasons. For one, how much longer are they going to be able to support that? It still runs iOS 7, which I was a little surprised at in the first place. But like no processor upgrade, basically no upgrade of any kind.
No.
Still costs $400, right? Or is it $300?
The iPad 2?
It's still $400, right?
No, the iPad 2 is cheaper than that. $400 is the starting price of the...
that's the mini now, right?
Yeah, let me... I'm not entirely sure. Let me talk to our research department, and we're definitely going to get back to you. Yeah, no, the iPad 2 is $399, right?
Okay, so yeah.
And the iPad Air starts at $499.
Right. And I don't know why on earth you would get an iPad 2 rather than an iPad mini for what you get for $400.
I'll tell you exactly why. For once, Maddie has all the answers to this question. Thanks to my association with educational institutions. That's what you're talking about in a nutshell.
So bulk purchases of...
The iPad 2 is around because it's the preferred device for bulk purchases. And when Apple's trying to make plays for market share, they've got to have it.
Right.
There's too much investment, particularly in the educational sector, in the old dock connector.
Right.
So...
that's a good point.
The iPad 2 still sports the old dock connector,
Yep.
so it's going to work with all those devices. That's part one of the answer. Mm-hmm. So if Apple wants to expand market share, that's the model that they need to do it with. Part two of the answer is the iPad 2 was a fucking awesome product. The difference between the iPad 1 and iPad 2 is astonishing.
It's pretty big jump.
The iPad 2 is way thinner than the original iPad. It's way more powerful, and particularly in business and education, it can do mirroring, which the iPad 1 could not do.
That's true. And frankly, it's as powerful as most folks need it to be.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I ran into another situation where I was suggesting for a group that was looking in an educational environment that was looking to buy some iPads a year ago, I was suggesting the iPad mini because the iPad mini at that time was just an iPad 2 with a smaller screen.
Form factor.
And cheaper. So I said, we'll get that. But a lot of people were they ended up not going with my suggestion. Bastards. Because the larger screen was just
fools.
Incredibly important to them.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but the screen's not any better. You can do all the same. But they just wanted the larger screen.
Yep. So now they've even got they're really presented with a better selection than they were last time, because now the old iPad mini is still an iPad 2, essentially, but it's $100 cheaper.
Yes.
Than the iPad 2.
A full $100 cheaper.
So if they still want a pad and they're trying to get like rock bottom price for an Apple tablet, they have a place to go now.
They do have a place to go, and they do have more options, but now really the selection of the iPad 2 is even dumber in a way, because you can now get the iPad mini with Retina for the same price that you're paying for an iPad 2.
Right.
And you have a better display and a faster processor. Mm-hmm. So that dock connector's got to be pretty goddamn important to you at this point.
Yeah, you need to have a significant investment in accessories. I mean, that's basically, I think, has to be the only thing holding you back at that point.
It's got to be, because, and to my mind, and I know you feel the same way, to me the iPad mini is just the optimal size as well.
Right.
So if I were, in other words, given two devices that are exactly the same and the only differentiating factor was the size, I'd still pick the iPad mini.
Yeah.
But this iPad mini has a better display and a better processor than the iPad 2. But yeah, as far as I can tell, the iPad 2 is their play for markets that need the large screen and are stuck or have some legacy things they have to support with the dock connector.
Yep. Now that said, I'm really willing to bet this is Apple's gap year. This is them telling people, okay, get your shit together. I'd be amazed. I mean, I was already surprised, but I'd be amazed if the iPad 2 was still around after this time next year.
Well, sure, I would too, but I was amazed that it was around. I mean, I would have, if some crazy Las Vegas, slick back hair, greasy bookie bastard had come up to me and said, Matt House, I'll give you friggin' 100 to 1 odds. What do you say? I'd have said, sure. Sure. Apple's going to...
Give me 100, Larry.
Obviously, Apple's going to get rid of the iPad 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sure, it seems obvious to me that it won't be around next year, but it seemed obvious to me that it wasn't going to be around after this point.
Yeah, that's true. But, I just feel like Apple, because we already agreed on how... we didn't agree in this particular podcast, but we have agreed in the past that the dock connector is holding them back. They really want to get away from that dock connector. They introduced that third-gen iPad out of the blue and kind of shocked everybody with that. So I personally feel like this is their year to go, okay, you got some time yet, get that old dock connector stuff out of the, get rid of it.
We're grandfathering your reluctant ass in one more year. Now get rid of that shit.
Get it out of here. Because, again, they've got a place to go if they want Lightning, but they want the price of a cheaper pad because they've still got that iPad mini first gen.
So we should probably run this shit down. So iPad Air, we've talked about that a bit, which is basically, it's thinner, it's lighter.
Yep.
They're calling it the iPad Air. So they've added that. Mm-hmm. It's gone up to the 64-bit A7 chip. Mm-hmm. And that's the new, as far as we know right now, the new default 9.7-inch Retina display iPad.
Yep.
No changes to the display. And the other thing we talked about is the iPad mini. That's gone full Retina. Also made a jump in processor. Mm-hmm. Not because the previous iPad mini was the A5, right? So it skipped a whole generation. Because the previous iPad mini was a generation behind the current full-size iPads.
I don't even think it was the A5 because the A5 came out with the iPhone 5, right?
Yeah, whatever it was a generation behind.
Right.
So now it skipped a generation, went straight to the A7 and the Retina. And yeah, so that's what they did in the world of iPads.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they introduced.
Yep. So, and they no Touch ID, which kind of struck me as odd. But now that I think about it, near as I can figure, they're just wanted to make sure they had the parts to make the iPhones. They didn't want to hold up iPhones at the expense of iPads or vice versa.
Right. I've heard a lot of various and sundry theories, but that's the one that I go with too. I suspect that they just couldn't churn out enough of the sensors. The iPhone 5S is selling like shit burgers, so I don't think they even want. I mean, maybe a shit burger wouldn't sell that great, but I'm going to say that. So it's selling like shit burgers. They're selling them as fast as they can make them, and I don't think they wanted to take the chance to spread that sensor out across several product lines.
Yeah. Yep. And the nice side effect is it's another differentiator for the product lines.
Right.
So, yeah.
And also, when you think about it, an iPad just doesn't have the need. Everyone has their phone with them basically at all times now.
Yep.
Like last night when we went to see the very fine and wonderful heavy metal Texas Chainsaw Massacre double feature at the Carolina Theater.
The inaugural Halloween show, folks.
Shibbity bam, what a great job they did. But I didn't take my phone with me, and good Lord, I felt horrible and out of sorts. Good thing I was drunk because I felt just horrible. And people...
Apoplectic. Absolutely.
Because people keep their phone with them all the time now, but they just don't. Their iPads are around them much less often.
Right.
So there's not quite the need for that level of security.
Yeah, you're right. It's, that level of security and that level of convenience.
Right.
Because you're just not unlocking and locking an iPad with the frequency you do with a regular phone.
No, certainly not.
So yeah, I was personally surprised at that, but it's not huge shocker type thing. So yeah. You mentioned iPods earlier.
Yep.
They didn't do anything. That they added like a color to the iPod Touch, right?
Yes.
But otherwise, the line is unchanged.
Not a word about iPods. And when was the event? The 23rd?
This past
22nd?
Tuesday, yeah. So
anyway.
That was the 22nd.
22nd. So, of October. They're certainly not doing anything to iPods between now and Christmas. This was it between now and Christmas.
Yeah. If they were going to do it, they'd had to have done it already. Yeah.
Right. So, I don't know how much long. Maybe we have our answer to the off-answered question, when are they going to kill the iPod Classic off? Maybe they're just going to kill the iPod line off in general, and maybe just keep the iPod Touch around.
Right. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. The Nano did not change, and that one's not a huge shocker. I think they've been casting about for a few years on what to do with the Nano because the changes they've made have seemed pretty arbitrary, in the scheme of things.
And what does one even do, really? I mean,
we talked about that last time.
The product categories, what does one even do with an iPod Shuffle or an iPod Touch? You buy a kid, like we talked about.
Yep.
Because you don't want to pay the cell phone bill.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy that for your kid, or even for an adult who just who wants to play games, iOS games, for example, or whatever else.
Yeah.
Some other end to the iOS ecosystem without having a cellular bill.
It's the iPad Micro.
But yeah, exactly. But what in the world does the iPod Shuffle get you nowadays? What does the iPod Classic still get you storage ostensibly? That's all it's got going for it. But the other iPods really do nothing that even the cheapest smartphone will also get you.
Yeah.
So it's going to become a tougher and tougher sell to keep making these things discrete products.
Right, because even people who, it's like you say, if they have a phone of any capability whatsoever, they do not need those products.
Correct.
That's, so yeah, they're just, Well, I guess now the question is, how long is Apple going to keep them around? I was at least surprised. I wasn't shocked that in any physical or, here's what I expected. I expected an iPod or an iPod Touch that was essentially unchanged, basically with an A7 processor. Just the phone without the phone.
Yep.
And really, that's all they would need to do. I don't think they need to keep inventing features. And, we talked about, I don't know what's left that they could put in there, that's going to interest people anyway.
Right, because it serves a specific niche. And if you are a person who is served by that niche, there's no competition.
Yeah.
They're not having to fight people in that market because there is no other, market in that arena.
Right. There's no. I mean, there might be one or two, but the Android doesn't have many things in that space. Android is basically phones and tablets. They don't have just a music player
And barely tablets.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, But that said, I was surprised they didn't even do that.
Yeah, you would think they would do that almost as a perfunctory measure.
So I don't know. Maybe that's going to turn into an every other year kind of bump. Because I think it demonstrates Apple's iPads sell enough to make us money, but that's really as far as we're concerned right now.
Yep.
So yeah, that was kind of a surprise. Not huge shocker material, but I was like, no iPod stuff, huh?
Not a word.
So yeah. So let's see, what else did we get? Software. I don't even care enough to talk about it, to be perfectly honest.
I'll just say I was very pleased that everything was updated.
Yep.
We got just to run down the list. We got an entirely new iWork suite.
Mm-hmm.
We got which includes Pages, Keynote, and Numbers. We got an entirely new iLife suite, which is iPhoto, iMovie, and GarageBand.
Right. Don't forget iWeb. Oh wait.
Or iDVD. So we've got entirely new suites on both the Mac side and the iOS side.
Mm-hmm.
They showed off a couple of cool new features. Collaboration in Pages, for example. There's something called Home Movie or Home Theater. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a technique that integrates your iMovie directly with your Apple TV for displaying your stuff. There's a new channel. The Apple TV was updated. There's a new channel for that. There's a cool new drummer feature in GarageBand that looked really nifty. But yeah, that's really all that needs to be said. Entirely new suites on both the Mac and iOS side of Apple's Premiere. Oh, and we probably should mention that they reduced the cost to free.
Yep.
So
now free with purchase.
Free with purchase, but previously they weren't giving you. And iLife has always been free with a purchase. It's always come. But previously, you didn't get iWork for free when you bought a Mac or iOS device.
Yeah,
but now you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it makes it confusing. Well, in our two particular worlds where we, maintain a lot of Macs at work, it complicates things as far as getting everybody on the same page as far as what version they have. Because you're like, some of these are paid, some of these came with the, Outside of that, I think it's a great scheme for home users. Pretty much anybody who isn't maintaining these at an enterprise level.
Yes.
And, and that's completely following with the Mac, with Apple's modus operandi.
And they really don't want you to maintain them at an enterprise level.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
in terms of their software.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really expect a huge adoption of iWork, say, in the enterprise space.
Yeah, and I think it would be foolish if they did expect it. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So that probably leads pretty succinctly into another piece of the event, which was they shipped OS X Mavericks.
Yep.
And in what I think will turn out to be an extremely significant move, they also moved the price of Mavericks to free.
Yep.
They've been slowly lowering it because OS X updates were $130 for years, as we both know, having sold quite a few.
In the trenches, my friend.
Deep.
Mac OS X version 10.2 Jaguar.
And people lined up for that shit.
Hell yes.
They lined up for that $130 software
we worked
update.
that night, son. 10:20 p.m. Friday night.
Getting it ready. But anyway, so they went from 130 to 30.
Yep.
Which
is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
To 20.
To 20 to
nothing.
0.
Yep.
And not only that,
Nothing
but here
from nothing is nothing.
gotta have something, motherfucker, punch you in the mouth.
Lillian.
RECCCT. That's all Apple's trying to get from me.
I think they got it.
But they truly did get all the RETTTT from me that they want. But
He's cracking himself up.
it's good stuff. But yeah, so it's free and it's significant because we were just talking about in our respective fields, this is a big deal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because Apple has now dramatically lowered the price of maintenance for a lot of its stuff because this is retroactive back to 2007, and Apple made it very, very clear. They said, look, if you've got any Mac that you bought from 2007 forward, just go get it. Just go get our latest operating system for free.
Yep.
So that, to me, they didn't say it explicitly, but to me, that I think by default, that makes everything in between there free as well.
Essentially.
Because they can't really argue that, oh, well, yeah, we'll give you Mavericks for free, but if you want to run...
You got to buy Lion.
Yeah, if you want to run Lion, fuck you. You're paying $30.
Well,
no.
It's a matter of fact. I saw an article about Apple is doing exactly that. Basically, if you lack what you need to jump straight to Mavericks, in other words, if you have something that doesn't have the App Store, say, like an early 10.6,
yes,
they'll give you what you need to get Mavericks.
Yes.
So they're, yeah.
So
it's free back to 10.6, essentially.
We already talked about it in our fine institution, and we're working out the bugs. And obviously, we're going to standardize on Mavericks as soon as we can possibly do it, because this used to be a proposition costing hundreds of thousands of dollars for enterprises with a lot of Macs.
Well, yeah.
To get a software license upgrade like that, but now it's $0 if your Mac.
You don't have to worry about it.
And something I'm thrilled about because I've been advocating it for years and been hoping Apple would do it. And their policy now is if your shit is robust enough to run it, which had always kind of been their unofficial policy because they didn't put any type of security.
Right.
On their,
there's no serial numbers.
There's no serial numbers. There's
doesn't
no
sniff the network.
Doesn't call in. Yeah. Doesn't phone home. So that's kind of always been the unofficial stance of Apple. But now it is official. And their point of view is, Apple's point of view is now very clearly, we're going to update the operating system from time to time. If your hardware is good enough to run it, just have it. And when you're talking about a school or an enterprise setting or somewhere where you're talking about hundreds or thousands of Macs, that is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Something else they did, which caught me by surprise, and I took a screenshot of it so I can swing that around and show you, is when software update pops up, it has at the top right there, Mavericks, free upgrade with a button. All you got to do is click it.
That's it.
Now, that's pretty awesome. As somebody who maintains hundreds of Macs, it's terrifying because
it's horrifying.
we
right.
have to tell her, do not upgrade yet, please.
Yeah, that panicked message went out in our area on Friday or the day after the keynote. So I guess it was what?
That would have been Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
It went out Wednesday because I immediately, emailed the guy that's the head of our Mac section and said, "Hey, bro, just so you know, anybody that goes into the App Store today is going to be offered a free upgrade.
Yep.
And all they have to do is click a button, and it's going to do that." He's like, "But they have to put in their Apple ID." I'm like, "Yeah, but any Apple ID you have works."
Right. Now, granted, I tried to go through it, and the very last step, they do ask for an admin password.
Right.
But still, we have enough people with an admin password that could fuck shit up.
It would wreck it.
Yeah.
So not only are we excited.
At least one person did it. I will say that.
Sure. And I'm sure some people did it in our area too. But not only is it cool and not only are we excited about standardizing on Mavericks, we're kind of going to have to standardize on Mavericks because clearly going forward, Apple's policy is going to be, we're going to make this shit as easy as possible to the end user.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's So basically, they've basically rigged it so people are going to come to you wanting it.
Yes,
is what's going to happen, and you're only going to be able to tell them no for so long.
That's right.
And that's just how that is. So,
yeah, our Mac guy was begging. He was like, "Give me 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks to look at it,"
right.
Because he knows it's going to become an avalanche.
Yep.
Just like it did with iOS 7. They were hounding all the guys in our tech department as soon as iOS 7 came out, to get it. And they were just begging people to please give them a little while to make sure nothing was going to catch fire
right.
if you upgraded. And they did a really good job with that, by the way.
Yep.
And they let everybody in our group upgrade to OS 7 within probably 3 weeks after it was released.
Fortunately, iOS app developers are way more Johnny on the spot than OS 10 developers.
Far more.
Because basically iOS 7, once the gold came out, it didn't break. I've yet to find anything it broke.
Nope, me either.
Anything that broke that was not basically immediately fixed. I'm sure apps exist, but all of my shit worked, and I got a lot of apps.
Same here.
But that said, Mavericks is already out, and we're hearing about, VPN doesn't work, SAP doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, same shit every time that doesn't work when the OS gets updated. They act like it was a surprise,
Yep, like they had no idea it was coming.
And I'm just like, oh, God damn it, making my life hard. But they don't care because they're entrenched enterprise apps, and they're like, do something. Pick something else. Oh, yeah, there ain't nothing. So fuck you, motherfucker.
Huh, that's funny. VPN is working with us, but I guess it just depends.
Depends on which brand,
right.
That kind of thing. But I think the official word was VPN may be unreliable, was the way they put it. So
gotcha.
I was like, it was working for me. Anyway. So I think that's about all the software of note. I have not personally played with Mavericks. I want to, just haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah, I've had it on since I put the beta on,
right,
and had it on for a while, but then went back because there were some problems. And I've had it on permanently full time as my working OS since the Gold Master came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's similar enough that it's just it's a little more stable. Here's Mavericks in a nutshell. It's a little more stable. It really does give you a pretty dramatic increase in battery life, and it introduces a few nice features. Other than that, it's not a serious big upgrade.
It was kind of like like the skip from 10.5 to 10.6.
Yep.
You would say, rather than, because 10.6 to 10.7 is fairly dramatic.
Yes.
And then 10.7 to 10.8 was pretty low key. So I think that's going to be the second part of their strategy. It's going to be free, and it's going to be a little less jarring each time.
Yeah, we probably won't get another major operating system change until we go up to 11.
Yeah.
When and if that happens.
And that should totally be their marketing scheme when that happens, is it goes to 11.
Yep.
And
exactly. That should be the exact phrase.
Right. They need to pay. Go get the old cast of Spinal Tap and run them around the track a few times.
Turn it up to 11.
No, but that's one more.
That's one more than is possible.
I'm not gonna make you people listen to my poor Spinal Tap impressions. We're gonna move on.
But I'll be happy to.
We'll do that later. So laptops is the other big thing we got. I noticed the last remaining old school laptop with a CD drive and an Ethernet port is now the 13-inch.
That's it.
And there's just one.
Yep.
Everything else is Retina.
And much like with the iPad 2, I think that was done to serve
education.
Education.
Yep.
Precisely.
And now we're not talking about MacBook Airs. They already updated those. No Retina, no nothing. And that was like a month ago or maybe longer.
Yeah, these are just MacBook Pros.
Yep. And so we got two 13-inch Retina, two 15-inch Retina, and then the old 13-inch regular. And that's all they is. They ain't no more.
Everything, basically the story there is everything got bumped up to faster processors, and dropped the price by $200.
Yep. Which is was pretty wild. Apple is not. Well, they haven't been of late. They used to do it more often, but Apple's usually not much for the price dropping.
No. But to be competitive in the laptop market, I think it was a smart move.
Oh yeah.
They can still drop at $200, still make make Chinese factory workers cry shit turns of profit, right. With the $200 less, and still put them in a position that they're a bit more competitive in the wider laptop market. And that's all they have to do. They don't have to offer the same features at the same price because they have a differentiated product.
Yep.
They just can't get too wildly out of line with top-of-the-line Windows laptops.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they're right in that sweet spot. Even if it's a premium, it's not a huge one. So, and iMacs are in the same boat as the MacBook Airs. They updated those a little while ago, so there was no mention of any desktops. And
nope.
And that's by design. I think we all know that desktop Macs is not really the hot area for Apple. I mean, now if we're talking about iMacs, of course, the Mac Pro came out, the new version.
Yep.
Or was announced rather. Doesn't ship until December, but we got a lot more detail on that. We got pricing. I'm curious to see what a fully tricked out model would cost. We all love to play that game. Go to the store, turn everything all the way up, and see how much it costs.
Yes.
So we can get a pool going. How much will a fully loaded Mac cost? Is it going to be brushing up against $20K?
Gotta be. Unless they just don't offer some upgrades.
Right.
I mean, because we've got two models. The entry model is $3,000, $29.99, which the entry model has a 3.7 gigahertz Xeon E5 and 12 gigabytes of RAM and two AMD D300 GPUs.
Yep.
That's the entry model.
Right. Well,
but of course, the entry model is $3,000.
Yeah. Well, they had a lot of. I think there were, because you could pick the processors according to the number of cores.
Yep.
So you could get one like a shitload of cores, and then they had like all the video cards are dual.
Yep. Across the board.
But they had like 3 levels of dual video card, right?
Yes.
So you get a fair amount of permutations in there, how you want to spend your money. So yeah, it's. I think the answer is we will allow you to spend as much money as you care to spend.
We will take all of your damn money.
Give it here. Hand out.
Yeah, they have another model. They have a $3,000 model, and then they have a $4,000 model, which is a 6-core processor.
I'm a single core.
The one and only core.
See what I did there?
See, because his name is Corey. Get it? The higher end model has 16 gigabytes of RAM, but the big thing was the pricing and the fact that it's coming out in December. They previously had not announced pricing or release date.
Yeah. So, and Made in America,
right?
Which I forgot about until I saw the video, and I was like, those people are not Chinese.
What the hell are they doing?
Exactly.
Why are they building electronics?
Those are clearly actors. Oh wait, that's right. They're making these in Texas.
They are, and the thing that I immediately noticed about the video, and something we've talked about before, if we're going to see manufacturing come back to this country, it's going to be because it's enhanced with a lot of robotics. Yep. And lots you saw robots. In that video, there weren't many people of any kind involved in that process. Right. There were, supervisory type guys with the hairnets and the white suits, but they were basically there at the end to bolt everything together. Right. That was pretty much what they did. Yep. And pretty close to Steve Jobs' original vision for a Macintosh production facility. Yep. Because he originally envisioned it with basically no human interference. Right. In the production of his beautiful machine.
Machines making machines.
And that facility looks pretty damn close to that.
Yep.
If you haven't seen the video, it's cool as shit.
Oh, yeah. I had forgotten as well until they showed the video that the entire thing is made of metal.
Correct.
Because it's easy to look at it and think, oh, that's a black plastic case, but no, it's aluminum.
It's badass.
Very fine aluminum.
It's bad. I mean, it's as kick-ass, and it's as much like a Dodge Viper in the world of computers as you could possibly. It's just a badass machine made in America.
Yep. So, assembled in America.
Right.
Is technically what they say.
Right. It has, but it's assembled in America, and a lot of the components are American.
Yeah.
But probably not quite enough for them to. I forgot what the content has to be. It has to be like 70% North American content to officially be called made in America.
Yeah.
So probably less than 70, but still a lot, because obviously the processors are made in America. Sure. The graphics cards are made in America. So far more American than the vast majority of computers you're ever going to lay your hands on nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Electronics in general, really. So, absolutely. We'll take it.
We'll see, and we'll see if these people that are constantly screaming about, oh, well, these people can't make a living on what these electronic companies are paying. Okay, well, there you go. You've got your American-made product that contributes to a higher standard of living for a group of people that demand a higher standard of living, and you're going to have to pay a bit of a premium.
Yeah.
Now, the premium, considering the powerful nature of this machine, I think the premium is not as much as I was fearing it would be.
Right.
Because a Mac Pro is going to be every bit of $2,000, even in the old model.
Yeah.
You're not going to get, because it's a professional level machine. But
they routinely start at like $2,500 and up.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think the premium here, there is a premium even over Apple's normal premium.
Right.
But it is not as much as I thought it would be.
Well, that, and it's also focused on the particular type of Mac user who has it to spend. Sure.
I mean, for the type of person who's going to go out and buy this machine, $500 doesn't mean jack shit.
Right. So yeah, it's an awesome machine. I love that it's made in the USA. I would dearly like one, but I'm sure I will never ever own one.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
For me too. If we hit the lottery, I'll buy us both one.
Oh shit.
And if
get a wine rack and fill it up.
and if 7 million people suddenly subscribe to this podcast, I'll buy us both one.
Exactly. So subscribe. We're telling you.
You sons
tell
of
your
bitches.
Friends.
Why don't you want us to have a Mac Pro?
Subscribe. Don't you love us? I will punch you in the face.
We just want a Mac Pro for both of us. We might have 3 4K displays that need supporting, motherfucker. You don't know us.
Just do it. Don't ask questions. Everybody will be happier. Not asking much.
Not at all. It's fair.
So, anything to add about Apple?
I think we're about there. I mean, I think that just about covers it. It was one of the most exciting and fun events I'd been at in a long time. Or I didn't go to it. The one that I watched in a long time.
And thank God they aired it.
Yes.
They streamed it.
And they must have known it was a pretty good event because, they decided to stream it live. And there's just a lot. When you look at the stuff that was announced, they had enough stuff to announce that really made it entertaining almost the whole time.
Yeah.
Because even the app stuff was pretty exciting, and they
didn't linger on it.
They barely talked about the apps, given the nature of the total remake they did. They didn't spend a lot of time on it. Mm-hmm. Because they had a lot of shit to go through.
Well, they had a lot to get through, and they very clearly know where their juice is.
Right.
I think they did it in order of shit people were waiting to hear about.
Yeah, CNN isn't going to lead with new iWork suite from Apple. That's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be part of the gibberish they had. Apple announced blah blah blah, and this is software.
Damn fucking software. Something about making a school report or some shit.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm about to I'm not going to be happy until I hit myself in the face with this microphone. That's just how it is.
Just a matter of time.
Yep. So the other big, I say a lot. I'm noticing that as I listen to myself.
Hey,
You
great! You just demonstrated it immediately.
Just like that. So the the goddamn Captain America trailer came out this week. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Good for you.
It was badass.
Got that out.
What
The
I'm trying
Captain
to say.
American trailer was hot, son.
I was not expecting that. I mean, I expected it to be on par with the first Thor trailer, and really this. I mean, Thor just looks kind of solid, if that. It's characters we love doing shit we love, so Thor will be enjoyable on that level. But Captain America looked badass. I saw that and I was like, yeah, let's go see that.
It looked badass, and it looked like they've scaled it up. Because to me, in previous Marvel movies, there was one level of production value for the Avengers and Iron Man, and then everything else was at not a B movie level, but a lower production value.
A step under. Yep.
Yeah, Captain America looks like it's every bit on a par with Iron Man or the Avengers. I mean, they had some serious shit going down in that trailer.
And I wonder how much of that is. Well, it'll be interesting to see, because they are clearly assuming that the rising tide of Avengers is going to bring up everything. It's going to float all the properties. I don't know if they're extrapolating from Iron Man 3, which was a monstrous hit.
Right.
Or if they're just like, let's try it and see,
Yep.
They've got, they got Disney money to play around with now, which they didn't so much have the first go around. But it'll be interesting to see. It's definitely, I would say, it looks like a bigger movie than Thor. By anything I can get out of the trailer.
For sure. Well, right off the damn bat, I mean, none of the Marvel movies. I mean, Robert Redford is in this fucking movie.
I'd forgotten he was announced. I heard his voice, because he's doing that voiceover. I was like, that's Robert Redford, and I'd heard that he was casted, and then immediately forgot. Basically,
Robert Redford is kind of a big star.
Because I was like, when I first heard about it, I was like, Robert Redford, really, Captain America, and then forgot about it.
Absolutely.
It was kind of like when I heard, spoiler alert, who was going to play Talia al Ghul in, the last Batman movie. I had forgotten who she was rumored to be.
Right.
By the time the movie came out. So when we got to the end, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Talia.
About that. So yeah.
Who's fine as shit, by the way, but go ahead.
Incidentally.
Good
yes.
Lord Almighty. What's her name? Marion Cotillard?
Yep.
Good gravy, that's an attractive woman. Lord Jesus.
Yeah, we now you've distracted us.
Well, we can't think about anything but Marion
With
Cotillard.
her awesomeness. But, yeah.
So,
Robert Redford.
Robert Redford, that's a big deal. Multiple helicarriers.
Yep.
Helicarriers galore in the trailer.
Helicarriers.
Damn straight.
God damn it. We know what happened in the carrier number 42.
Bam. Plunging right into the Potomac.
Yep. Like a fucking lawn dart. Just
the Gunka.
But, well, that's the thing. You trot out that many helicarriers, like, oh, yeah, we're wrecking some of these motherfuckers. That's
you gotta.
It's just got to happen. So, I guess, it's the Winter Soldier.
Yep.
So we know who a villain is. But
yes.
as we know from the comics, there are people behind the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see how they play that out.
I've heard some really great theories about Robert Redford's character, which I'm not going to share because I don't want to fuck it up for anybody if they don't know. But, yeah, I've heard some really cool things about Robert Redford's character, the way that's going to possibly play out.
Yep.
Other things we saw in the trailer.
Well, they hinted at it in the trailer.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah, he was telling Captain America some shit that Captain America is not going to have any truck with.
No,
sir.
he's telling precisely.
No,
Captain America's not having it, son.
And that's, that's clearly what leads up to the altercation in the elevator.
If you haven't seen it, and for some reason you only have 10 seconds to spare to watch the trailer, fast forward to the elevator scene.
Yep.
And you will see Captain America doing shit like a World War II American fighting soldier would do if he were stuck in an elevator with a bunch of assholes.
Yep. He fights well.
Yeah, he fights so good. And pops that fucking shield. Good God.
Easy trigger.
It's good stuff.
But yeah, we got Black Widow's back in this one.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Falcon.
Looking good, like her haircut.
Mm-hmm. Like the longer hair.
Yep.
Very fine. Very fine. Let's see.
Nick Fury's in there.
Yep, Nick Fury. We got him back.
Looks like he got blowed up in the trailer.
We'll, I'd be surprised if Coulson didn't make an appearance.
Right, me too.
And if he does, they're going to have to address that somehow. Because as far as we know, the Avengers are still under the impression he's dead. So they'll have to explain that. Unless they've all been briefed somehow.
Yep.
With whatever terrible, terrible secret that he cannot know, but he is so going to know at some point. You know, not to be venturing off into S.H.I.E.L.D. territory.
Let's not do that.
Yeah,
because
we'll retread that.
Because we got yet another lackluster episode. But anyway.
Exactly. This guy's like Sunfire, but isn't Sunfire. Anyway. Yes, what a rabbit hole.
There's nothing about the trailer I didn't like. The only thing that I would say, if you put a gun to my head and forced me to make a criticism, please don't put a gun to my head and force me to make a criticism, because that's violent and needlessly aggressive. But if you did...
He'll make one if you just ask him.
But right, I'll just give you one. But if you did do that, I would say I just don't like... It's like when filmmakers don't know how to adapt superhero costumes, they're just like, fuck it, make it all black.
Right.
And I was displeased with the Falcon's costume in that sense.
Oh,
it
yeah.
looked like some sort of Bryan Singer X-Men thing.
It was even worse than that because it was gray.
Right.
So it was like just very bland.
Totally. It just looks like some piece of CIA hardware.
Yeah, exactly. He's just wearing a teched-up backpack, basically. Now, we didn't get a good look at him with the wings out. You know, maybe there's something cool there that'll make up for it. But yeah, it looked pretty bland.
Yeah.
And Falcon's like all red and white, mostly white.
Yep.
Like his costume, the character is black.
Right.
In the
That
comics.
would be interesting,
Yeah.
though. Laboratory
I'm not
accident.
saying. Oh Lord.
My God, what has happened to the Falcon?
But I'm not saying they should make his outfit solid white either, because that's not going to play on film. But
No,
he
that
had some color going on.
I think you could have gone with the exact opposite color scheme, because as soon as I saw
Mostly
that, I
red
was
with
thinking,
a little white.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was thinking, okay, his other costume's kind of corny, but if you made it mostly red with white highlights and maybe a little blue, since he's
Yeah, Captain America's buddy. Yep.
Exactly. I think that would have worked out nicely. I don't think he had to go all gray.
Yeah. And, Marvel, they've demonstrated it and are demonstrating it pretty well with Cap's outfit. They're willing to adapt. So, we don't know what Falcon will end up with, So
Yep.
we saw some form of his outfit.
Speaking of Cap's outfit, we saw several of them during the trailer.
At least two.
Yep.
We saw the essentially what in the comics was the Captain America Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. outfit, which actually they translated really well, I thought. It wasn't as busy as the Avengers version of his outfits. That said, you also see a more traditional red and white outfit, which red, white, and blue, which looked really nice. I had to frame by frame it to catch it in a few places, but it looks like a more traditional update of his outfit from World War II in the first movie.
Right.
Which is totally the direction I want to see it go.
In fact, a couple of people originally, after the trailer first premiered, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's his World War II costume." It wasn't.
Yeah,
once you looked
down.
at it, it's a little different. So we're not exactly sure if that's a new costume, if it's an old costume from an archive.
Yeah.
There's no way to tell. It's not because it's not exactly the costume from the first Avenger.
Yeah, it's slimmer, but it's like the pants are a little baggier.
Yep.
But the top half is a lot slimmer, He's also, I tell you what he looks like. He's looking more and more like a direct translation of his Ultimates outfit.
Which is a wise way to go.
And even the helmet, which the helmet is a huge improvement to me over the one that was in the Avengers, because he's got the chin strap back.
Yep.
Did not like the no chin strap look.
Me either.
Even as much as Joss Whedon loves that chin, he said it.
Right.
Here comes the chin. I thought the helmet just looked weird without the chin strap.
Yeah, it did look weird without it. I agree.
So that's a good improvement. And it looks like he has that when he's wearing a helmet. He looks like he's having that throughout. He's kind of like Captain America. He's a lot like Captain America.
He's so similar to Captain America.
It's uncanny. He's a lot like Thor in that I think he can pretty much get away without wearing the gear a lot of the times. He looks just as good. It's not like, it's not like, obviously you can't have Iron Man running around without his helmet on. That doesn't work.
That's not awesome.
Because
somebody will just shoot him in the face.
Exactly.
He's just a dude.
But yeah, that said, he can get away without his helmet, just like Thor can get away without his helmet. It really looks okay without taking away from the outfit. So, sorry, you're hearing me scratch my chin. I forgot to move away from the microphone.
Look, dude, chins have to be scratched. Yeah, they're just going to have to learn to live with that. That's, when you're providing the world with entertainment for an hour, you have the damn right to scratch your chin.
You're going to see the YouTube comments. That fucker's scratching his
chin. Asshole.
She take some flea powder and get the fuck out of here.
You itchy bastard.
So itchy. God. But yeah. So the outfit looks greatly improved.
Yes.
Well, now what we didn't see that they're showing they had some poster shots of some sort of all blue and silver scheme on his shield.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't see that in the trailer, so I don't know where that comes in, or if that's strictly a marketing thing, or because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
You did see the uniform.
Yeah.
You did see the blue and silver uniform.
Yep.
But not the shield.
Like I said, look pretty good. Looked better than I thought it would, to be honest. But
it looks like, to me, some type of special forces. It's like they de-Americanized him and shieldified him with that uniform.
Right. So that could play into the strife we were talking about later, whatever disagreement he has with Robert Redford or whatever is implied, and he decides to, maybe that's how he gets, people were talking about, where did this outfit come from, the blue one, maybe that was some interim or prototype or museum uniform of some kind. So, so maybe they're pulling in some of the storyline from when he was fired as Captain America.
Maybe.
And they had the U.S. agent, what was his name, John Walker?
Yep.
Come in.
Well, it sounds like, and it also sounds like they're kind of going for a SHIELD is this organization that exists above and outside of the U.S. government.
Yep.
And I think Captain America's not going to go for that. Right. It's probably what's going to happen.
Well, you see that snippet of conversation between him and Samuel L. Jackson where he's talking about that, or alluding to it at the very least. Talking about SHIELD. I forget the exact quote, so I won't attempt, but basically alluding to the fact that SHIELD is going to get bigger.
Yes.
And bigger, bigger in maybe a not so great NSA listening to everything you do and say kind of way.
Right.
Which, Captain America not going to cotton with that.
He's not going to have it.
Cotton to it.
He'll kill you. Now, don't get me wrong. See, and this is where I hope they keep things straight. Captain America would never tolerate listening or invading the privacy of citizens who have not broken any law.
Right.
On the other hand, if you're shown to be a criminal, he would have no hesitation killing you with his bare hands.
Right.
So let's make that very clear.
He is a soldier.
Captain America is not some sort of whiny do-gooder.
Nope.
He believes very strongly in the Constitution, and if you are a threat to the Constitution, he will absolutely snap your neck.
Right. He's not going to kill you just for the hell of it.
Mm-mm. But he will. He's not Batman. He will kill you. He has killed plenty of men.
It's basically if he has no other option situation.
Yes.
He'd as soon knock your ass out with a shield, but
and he can.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. And I think that's, the movies have really, this is a larger conversation, but I think the movies, we've talked about this, have done the right combination of the Ultimate Marvel Universe and the regular Marvel Universe.
Right.
I think the important part they borrowed for Captain America from Ultimate Marvel is that he is a soldier. He's willing to do what he needs to do.
What it takes.
But he has more of Marvel's, I guess, heart, for whatever you want to call it. Because if you read the Ultimate Marvel, Captain America's kind of a prick. You know, he's not full-out asshole, but he's very curt.
Well, and there's a lot of discord and pain in the Ultimate's Captain America.
Right. A lot of it's the whole fish out of water thing.
Right.
But they've gone the other way with it. He's a little more hardened and embittered by it, as opposed to kind of learning to take it in stride, like the Marvel Universe Captain America. So I think that's really the best distillation you could possibly have. I think they've done a great job with that.
Like they have with most things, but that's the right path to take.
And they've navigated that surprisingly well. Captain America's, it's really easy to make him a wishy-washy do-gooder kind of guy.
Which Marvel has done.
Yeah.
In the past.
Yeah. And
Captain America has occasionally been unreadable for that very reason.
Yep. When he's, well, that's right, Billy. You should eat your green vegetables and say your prayers and God bless America.
The marijuana is bad, William.
Don't do that.
Don't go near those reefer addicts.
No, Billy. No. Oh, God. So, yeah, the perfect take on Captain America is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, go see the trailer if you haven't seen it.
Labored, mildly amusing manner. So, yes, go to Apple and watch the trailer. And, when I was, maybe I didn't look hard enough, but I don't think they had it set up where you could save it just yet. I was a little surprised at that.
Nope.
No HD versions to download.
You can watch it, but you can't save
it. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's no built-in mechanism to save it. I'm sure you can find a way. But,
it's been thieved.
Yeah. I got it right here in my butthole.
Certainly it's been thieved, but not through legal or appropriate means by any method.
But, yeah, so yeah, go watch it. I'm sure a version will be out that you can keep soon enough, legally and completely and easily and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, sir.
In accordance with your religion and personal morals.
That's right.
Or lack thereof. So yeah, go watch that shit.
Hit it.
So we've talked for like we're just a hair over an hour.
That's about it.
And we've talked about two things, which is about right, given our long-windedness.
Yep.
We should probably wrap it up fairly soon.
Yeah, let's.
We have a new feature we'd like to introduce.
Indeed, we do.
I'll turn that over to you, sir, and let you set that up.
We do have a new feature
It's a bit of a surprise to me
that we're gonna try out here on Corey and Matt talk about, and it's called Dear Allison. And every week I'm going to be reading a message I've composed to the lovely and talented actor Allison Brie. You probably know her from Mad Men or Community. Yep, lovely young woman. I'm a huge fan of her, so I thought this would be a good forum for me to reach out to Allison.
Exactly.
Chat with her.
If you know
Talk
Allison,
to her.
and
if you're friends with Allison,
and you can put this in front of her,
got Allison's number, want to text her, yeah. So every week we're going to have our Dear Allison segment, wherein I read a message I've composed to Miss Brie.
Personal missive from the heart.
From my heart and soul to the lovely Allison Brie. So let me share that with you now. Here we go. Dear Allison, hey there, girl. My name is Maddie. I've been wanting to talk to you for quite some time. I figure this is as good a venue as any. Let's start with the basics, shall we? Damn, girl, you fine. You so fine. The first time I saw you was when you were portraying Trudy Campbell on Mad Men. I saw that dude who was playing your husband, and I became very angry inside of my heart and soul. I said to myself, Pete Campbell's an ugly little nerd. How the hell is he getting on top of that? I had several Jack and Cokes and thought about it for a while, and finally I realized, oh, it's just some bullshit TV show. In real life, Allison wouldn't let that little turd anywhere near the gates of the funhouse. Then I saw you on the Fine Show Community. You was fine again. Maybe even finer than before. Woman, your boobies are like two fantasy baubles from the fictional town of Racksville, which rests on the southernmost peninsula of the great nation of Bajanga. I hope you don't find this sexist. Millions of years of evolution have trained me to admire your glorious formed Caracas, and boy, do I ever. So, congratulations on them boobies. Also, you seem very kind and funny. I read the article that you wrote titled Homosexual Shmomosexual. It was clever and amusing, so obviously you're smart. These things are also important to me, but if I'd mentioned them first, I'd just be a kiss-ass lying little douchebag. I do not want to be that thing. So for the sake of forthrightness, I mentioned your tits first. It seemed like the noble thing to do. I would love it if, the next time you are in and around the Triangle area of North Carolina, if we could hang out. I'm married, and my wife is a wonderful woman, so I cannot marry you. But we could definitely have dinner and perhaps watch the original Battlestar Galactica on Netflix. My wife wouldn't mind any of that.
You can marry his friend. That is me. You could do that.
He's single.
Didn't mean to interrupt. That was important information.
He's so single. In fact, she'd probably like to enjoy it. She'd probably like to join us. She has expressed genuine appreciation for your boobies as well. So, until next time, my adorable strawberry Pop-Tart, let me close with these verses, which are so close to my heart. Allison, love me like a bomb. Baby, come on and get it on. Living like a lover with a radar phone. Looking like a tramp, like a video vamp. Demolition woman, can I be your man? Razzling and dazzling, now flash a little light. Television lover, baby, go all night. Sometime, anytime, sugar me sweet, little Miss Innocent, sugar me, yeah. Sincerely, Maddie.
Very good, sir. I don't see how she could possibly turn that down.
I don't see how you could either.
It's all there.
It's charming and from the heart, I think.
Exactly. It's honest. What more do you need?
I don't know.
So I think that's going to do it for this week, folks. We've been mentioning it, and we will continue to mention it until it's too late to mention it. And that is that the NC Comiccon is coming up.
Coming up.
And the fine ComiQuest movie festival that accompanies it at the very fine Carolina Theater. We're thinking next week, which will be the last weekend before the show. The show is November 8th, I believe. The November 9th and 10th.
Convention is 9th and 10th. The film festival is the 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
At any rate, so that gives us the first weekend in November, which is probably when we will do this thing again. So we'll probably take that opportunity to do a nice little preview of the show, and we'll try and get it out in time for it to do you some good, or just to enjoy before you go to the show.
We'd love for you to come out and have some fun with Corey and Matt.
We have some things in closing. We have a nice new Facebook page. We have our webpage set up now. We have our YouTube channel. We have Tumblr. Basically, Twitter. We got a lot of ways you can get in touch with us. It's all in the show notes. If you're listening to this, you should have access to the links. We'll put those in the notes. Subscribe, follow, friend, whatever you need to do to hear us every week and help us get paid.
Tell your friends.
What we would like to happen. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies.
Tell all the people.
Everybody. If they would hate it, if they would love it, we don't care as long as you listen.
They can get on the page and say outlandish and hurtful shit. It's all right as long as they listen.
That's okay. So that's going to do it for this week. I am your host, Corey,
My name is Matthew.
and we'll catch you next week.